there's a high likelihood that you have 95% of the revenue that you get for your business comes from about 5 kilometers radius of you, right? I'm not trying to impress somebody over the other side of the country or the other side of the world. You're trying to impress the people who are within a 5 kilometre radius of you.
Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Dirty Linen. It is your host with you, Dani Valent, and I am thrilled to be back in your ears. Thanks for sharing your day with me. I just would love to remind you to sign up to our Deep in the Weeds Food Podcast Network newsletter. We send it out every couple of weeks, and we include giveaways, some musings, highlight podcasts. It's just a good place to hang out with us in a slightly different format. On to today's guest. We are talking with Brad Cooke, the Hospitality Marketing Dojo. Brad is a hospitality person from way back, but at the moment he is working in marketing for restaurants, cafes and other food businesses. I think he's got a really interesting perspective. There's a lot of advice in this podcast. A lot of it is easily actionable for free. So I hope you find it useful if you work in hospitality, and interesting if you are a hospitality patron. Wondering how you can support your local businesses. I will let you dive into this chat with Brad. So Brad, welcome to Dirty Linen. So great to have you on the show.
Thanks, Dani. I appreciate you having me here.
Yeah, good to have this chat. I'd love you to start by just explaining to people what you do. Like when someone says, "Hey, Brad, what do you get up to with yourself?" How do you explain it?
Yeah, so I'm a marketing and sales consultant. I have run for the last couple of years a marketing agency, and I'm just kicking off a new style of marketing company at the moment called Hospitality Marketing Dojo. And so I work with venues, not just on their online marketing, but also in venue as well. We work with staff, we work with product, vibe. There's a whole experience part to the consulting and the work that we do.
And what's brought you to this? Like, do you have a hospo background? Do you just love restaurants? How have you come to do this?
Yeah, so I've been in Melbourne hospo for about 15 years. And then over the last 6 to 7 years, I've worked with just over about 300 different hospitality venues, restaurants, bars, cafes, food businesses, mostly in Australia, but also other parts of the world as well. And hospo people are my people, to be honest. I've delved into corporate and other industries as well, and hospo is a magnet. It brings you back to it. And once a hospo person, always a hospo person, I think. So here I am trying to help an industry that I love.
Yeah, I love that. We certainly hear from a lot of people on this show that, hospitality keeps drawing them in, even when they start to do other things for whatever reason. But, why is it marketing that you've chosen? I mean, is this where you see big sticking points for businesses?
Yeah, for me, it's the mash together of something that's a passion for me and a strength, and also where I can have the biggest impact when I'm helping out businesses, specifically restaurants, bars, cafes, food businesses.
I think a lot of people think of marketing as this, this other thing, off to the side of their core business. How do you see it?
Of course, I'm going to be biased here, but for me, it is one of the top 3 skills of an owner, and not just an owner, everybody else in your business as well. It used to be that you could just pay someone to do it and it was out of sight, out of mind. And potentially if you had a really nice brand and you had a great fit out and big bang from the start, you'd be able to get that taken care of. Now it's everybody in venue. Like if we're shooting content in venue, then everybody's involved with it. The owner's got to be involved with talking about the brand, the demographic, what we want to make people feel. The kitchen has to be involved all the way down to the menu and the plating. And your team have to be involved in the experience, because, marketing is not just your social media. It's not putting up a post once a day and calling it a day and that'll do it. It's everything that creates a future dollar. for your business. And with that in mind, it's the entire experience that you're creating in venue, pretty much first and foremost, the product and experience that you're creating, and then we move online with it. So I think everybody's involved with it. And when we get that going, when everybody gets their head around that and really gets behind it, really great things happen for the venue.
So, I mean, from what you're saying, if everyone's involved in marketing, you need really good staff engagement. But a lot of people come into the industry, you know, I think of my kids, they're working in hospitality because they want money to spend on other things. You know, what kinds of things, or how do you build that staff engagement? And is it asking a lot of staff to not only do tasks, but to be part of this overall machine that is, making money for owners in the end?
Yeah, it's an interesting way to look at it because in my eyes, it's the other way around. And in my experience with the venues that I work with, it's the other way around. It's when your staff don't want to rock up, do a job and go home. That's very low level kind of employees that you've got there. What they really want is to rock up, have fun, and hang out with people that they like, and maybe they can grow at the same time. You know, hospitality for me, and for a lot of people probably listening in, was, you know, this is 15 years ago now, 10, 15 years ago, was it was fun. It was, you know, where I get the most enjoyment out of my day. I got to meet people and give them great recommendations, suggestions, play the host, make them feel good. That's where I built confidence. That's where I built initiative. That's turned me into a lot of the person that I am today, and probably a lot of people that are owning venues and hospo veterans that they are today. We've got that same opportunity. If you're an older hospo vet, if you're an owner or something like that, you've got that opportunity to create that in your team, and you just got to take that opportunity. And in my experience, like when you do spend time training your team members now, and they grab something and they go and use it and they see that it works, they get this reward system going, and then they want to do more. They want to learn the next thing. They want to learn the next thing after that. And when you've got a team of people that are taking those things on board, you get better communication skills, confidence, initiative from them, leadership from them. You've got your next batch of supervisors and managers in there as well. And most importantly, they're creating an amazing experience for your guests. And that is at the top of the list in regards to your your marketing efforts. Like I can get people through the front door for you, not a problem. But if you don't have a good product and they don't have a great experience, like they don't have a good time with your team, they're not coming back. And the real money in hospitality is in return visitors, right? So that's why online is important, but you've got to nail in venue as well, and your team are a big part of that.
So how would you describe the difference, let's say, between customer service and hospitality?
Yeah, it's a good question. So customer service is really something that happens everywhere, right? It happens in every industry. Like most businesses have a customer service at email address, right? And there's bits and pieces that come to that. Hospitality it's a lost art, in my opinion. And it's, in short, when you go above and beyond expectations for people, and that doesn't mean going big. Sometimes it's the one percenters. Often I speak to owners that they don't understand why their team, or potentially young team members that are coming through at the moment, the juniors, they just don't get it. They don't get the communication part. They don't get the small talk. They don't get the noticing the guests and what they're after and how to be one step ahead. And that's really what it is, the one step ahead, right? So it's things like taking the opportunity to play the host. It's building rapport with people and then holding on to that, making personal recommendations about what your favorites are and what people can't miss on the menu. It's making your guests feel good, with validation, good choice, giving them compliments, having fun with them, doing the one percenters, the 1 bite or 1 minute check, catching their eyes when they need things. And I think as well from a venue point of view, we've got to take the opportunity to curate that experience as much as possible. Don't just let your guests or your team member who's looking after a table do it how they want to do it. Have a sequence of service in place. And most people, when I look at their sequence of service, it's just like, we do these things in this order and here's where our upsell opportunities are. And that's great, but where are your where are your 1% opportunities? Like, where are the wow moments in there as well? And where are you describing like how you want to make people feel? That's a real kicker for me. I think lastly, like, hospitality is done, in my eyes, as a team, not as an individual. Like, it's nice to have one good staff member, but people don't leave reviews and say, I got looked after by this one good staff member. They say, this cafe was great, or this venue was great. And so it's really the team looking after each other and then looking after the guests as well. As if you would, if people were coming over to your house. And that's where I think it's at.
I love this idea of the wow moments. What are some really good examples of that? Like, what could a staff member or a business owner do in the next week that would help create those wows?
Yeah, so those little wow moments, the easiest way to find those is to put yourself in the shoes of the guest. And if you haven't dined or eaten at your venue recently, do that. Like, do it as a guest. And then one of the things that I suggest is, for your team members, do the same thing. Like, get them to come in when they're not on shift with some of their friends and say, I'll cover it for you, but I just want you to experience what it's like here. But get them to take down some notes as if they were a mystery shopper as well and say, how would you like to have been treated? What could have made it better for you? Your team members will come up with some great ideas for you, and you'll come up with some great ideas as well. It's the easiest way to see them. But the wow moments are starting off with rapport. Asking a question like, hey, have you been in before? Hey, have I seen you in here before? This is going to tell you if somebody is a regular or if they're new. If they're new, we get to play the host. We get to make the recommendations. They don't know anything about our menu, so we get to go to town here and bring great hospitality. If they have been in before, we get to be familiar. We get to act like a friend. That's a real kicker. Taking the opportunity to just act like everybody is a friend and everybody is familiar, but you know the menu better. You know the venue better. Right? So they want to know what the best things on the menu are. They want to know what the most popular things are. They want to know what your favourites are and why. They want to know what the must not miss dishes are on the menu. So these are just some quick things that, if you've got your notepad and pen there, sitting in your apron, pull it out and write down what the answer to those questions are, and then make sure that you tell every single guest that comes in. This is not a once-off thing. This is an everybody that comes in all the time thing, because your most popular dishes, your favourites, the ones that look great on your Instagram photos, they're the ones that you want to be sending hundreds of out, because they're the ones that are going to create the most impressive experiences for people, get them more photos, get the reviews, and all good things happen from that. It's a great ripple effect.
What kinds of things do you see businesses get really wrong?
I'm going to speak about this from a marketer's point of view, because it's a really big topic if we expand it out from a whole business point of view. But I guess first things first, from a marketing and sales point of view, is not, if we continue on from the last question, like not utilising the free marketing things that you have available for you in venue. What I mean by that is not having a sequence of service that is there to impress, not just increase the value of the customer spend, but to impress and to create wow moments and to give everybody a consistent experience. Not noticing the vibe and how you can tweak that and match it to your brand. Consistent plating that makes people want to take photos and share it with their friends. Turning your menu into a marketing and sales document rather than just a piece of paper that has your food and drink on it. Taking the opportunity to train your team so that they feel more confident, so that they are knowledgeable, so that they're having more fun, because we know that confident, knowledgeable people that are having fun give you a higher ROI. Like, all of these are free ways to make more money, to create more return visitors. I guess some other things are, you had Sam on your podcast a while ago, which he's great, by the way. I love him. One of the first things he mentioned to a similar question was not allocating enough marketing budget. He mentioned, having at least 15K or maybe more. That's massive. I speak to a lot of people in regards to their marketing and marketing budget. Some people don't have that, which is fine. And what I've just said is there's a bunch of things you can do for free. However, they're just going to cost you time instead. But not allocating marketing budget is a big one. Trying to do it themselves, like trying to do your own, particularly online marketing yourself. And what that turns into often is you're just doing the tasks rather than learning, getting better, creating relationships, inviting people in. So there's another thing is inviting people in is, marketing online is, hey, I've got my website up, I've got my social media profiles up, and now I put up content. I'm doing my marketing, right? Most people completely forget about promotions, which are offers, ads, the pay-to-play stuff, inviting people in. If you don't have a lot of followers or there's people outside of your follower base, then you're never going to get in front of them if you don't pay to play. I think as well on the social media topic, one of the most common ones is people saying, how come I'm not turning my followers into guests? How come people are not hanging around on my page long enough or following me? And inevitably you go to their page and it's food. That should be a mix. People are going there to see what it's going to feel like in your venue, right? So sure, have photos of your food, but there should be a combination of food, faces, venue, and vibe across your content. And so make sure that if you're getting professional photography done, or if you're doing it yourself, if you're doing your own reels, food, faces, venue, and vibe. I can guarantee you right now, if you've got a pretty decent profile, if you go along to it, you'll probably have more likes on the photos of where you've posted people's faces than on the ones where you've posted just food. And look, the list could go on there, but I think they're the key ones for me that pop up with nearly every conversation that I have.
Yeah. Brad, I mean, you talk about spend, and of course there's great ways to spend money in marketing, but one thing that you posted about recently, which you can do for free, I thought was so interesting, and it's about staying up to date with your Google profile. Can you talk a bit about Google, about reviews, about what businesses can do to keep their Google profile fresh?
Yeah, absolutely. So making sure that your Google profile is complete and at full strength is one of two major parts to how Google helps people find your venue. Right, so when people are going to, firstly, let me give you some stats. Like over 60% of people still go to Google to find new business information, which is huge. Google is where you get your new customers from. If you do functions, events, PDRs, catering, Google is where you get a lot of your customers from. And so having your Google business listing, not just up to date, but also active is really important. When it comes to, there's two types of SEO as well. There's your website stuff, and we're just going to park that for the moment because you've got your Google business listing. Right? That's like a mini website that you have. And what we want to do is go along to that and make sure it's at full strength. That means making sure all the information is correct on there, making sure your hours are up to date. You've got your service areas complete, up to 20 different service areas. You've got up to 10 different categories that you're listed under. Most people just put down, hey, I'm a cafe, full stop. Hey, I'm a restaurant, full stop. They kind of treat it like they just have to get through filling it out, like it's a form, rather than if I take my time and expand on this, this is going to help Google, which is a robot, right? It's an algorithm. It's going to help Google put me in front of more people. And the people who search you on Google search and also on Google the Maps as well, we want to land in the top 3 search results. Top 3 search results get 50% of the clicks, which is massive. And there's your new customers. They come in venue. Now we've got an opportunity to turn them into a return customer. So a couple of things. Over on your Google profile, open up your edit profile. Make sure that you've got 10 categories. Make sure that you've got 20 service areas. Make sure that you've filled out your description up to 750 characters. Go down and make sure all of the answers are fully complete. One of the things that a lot of people miss is their menu. So underneath that button, you'll find a button that says Edit Menu. It'll ask you to put in all of your items, the prices, the descriptions, and one of the advantages that you can have to separate yourself from other people is to put a photo of each of them next to it. That will give you a full profile. Move through the others and complete them. It should take about 20 or 30 minutes, and Google will tell you if you've got a full profile strength. And then what you want to do is move into like weekly activities, and they take about 5 or 10 minutes. The main weekly activities that you want to do are responding to reviews. And when you do that, if somebody's commented on something particular, like I had a great avocado on toast, then reply to them. Use their first name and mention about the avocado on toast. Right, so just repeat back to them that keyword. That really helps Google to recognize that keyword's prominent for you. You want to go over to your photos, upload some new photos. So there's activity, 2 or 3 of those, and flag any poor photos that potentially customers have taken in poor light and you just want removed from your profile. And then the last thing is take time to put up 1 or 2 updates a week. They're like social media posts on Google. And this is a way to separate you. It's a way to put in heaps of keywords, and it's also a way to separate yourself from other venues who are not doing that, because Google recognizes frequent activity through your business listing as well. And it really helps you to climb up in the search rankings and help new people find you.
I think that's such powerful information. And, you know, I'm looking at restaurants' Google profiles all the time, and it's remarkable how often the photos by owner are like 6 or 7 years old. Whereas, you know, there's customer photos from yesterday, and yeah, they may not be how the business wants to present itself. It's I think a lot of owners are so in dread of their reviews that perhaps they just like want to turn us away from Google. But these are good tips in staying in control. I mean, reviews are such a bugbear for people. I mean, they love the good ones, they hate the bad ones. How do you encourage people to respond to reviews? Not only, you know, using the keywords and all of that good stuff, but just emotionally, like how to take on feedback.
Yeah, totally. I think that a lot of people, you know, our venue is often our baby, right? Your business is your baby. So when someone speaks poorly of it, you really feel that. And I find it interesting that you can have 20 amazing reviews about your venue, but if someone says one bad word, that's the thing that you focus right in on. And you're like, you know, so first things first is sleep on it. Right? If the review is going to stay there on your profile, no one's going to read it in that 24 hours that matters. Just sleep on it, let it simmer down, and take your opportunity for right of reply. When people are looking through reviews, and what they do is read, let's say they read the negative review, they always read the right of reply from the owner. So the way that I describe it is if someone's been emotional about it, take the opportunity, that's a good thing for you. Take the opportunity to be logical and level-headed, explain the situation, and where you can, make it about your guests, make it about your team, make it about your community, make it about a consistent service. I like to describe negative reviews that are emotional as like small spot fires. If you leave them there and you don't respond to them, they can touch and burn everybody that reads them. But your right of reply is like water. Right? You have the opportunity to simmer it down. And so, yes, there's a 1-star review, but we also get the opportunity to tell our side of the story. And then once you've done that, you've got to do as much as possible to park that to the side. I just want to mention as well that prevention is better than a cure when it comes to reviews. So yes, there's going to be some people that have poor experiences and they go to Google or social media and they tell you about their experiences. However, when your team can recognize in venue that you can catch those things in venue before somebody goes online. So if someone's having a poor experience in venue and we can catch that and we can do those 1-minute check-ins, ask them how their meal was, keep good rapport with them, put a smile on their face. If they're having a bad time or something's wrong with their meal, they'll tell us if we got rapport with them. If they can't catch our attention, then they start to get frustrated and they'll tell the person opposite them. And if they still can't catch our attention, now they don't want to catch our attention anymore. Now they'll tell social media and Google. right? So prevention's better than a cure. If you can train up your team to be catching people who are having, some challenges in venue, you're really going to go a long way to preventing those one-star reviews from happening in the first place.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So we've been chatting a lot recently on Dirty Linen about the state of the industry, coming back to this question of, is hospitality broken? There's no doubt that it's a challenging time with, costs going up and spend going down for a lot of venues. Is there hope for the independent restaurateur and cafe owner? What do you think, Brad?
There's always hope. There's always hope for the right venue with the right heart behind it, the right venue in the right area, for the right demographic. I really do think there is, and I think we've had this conversation a few times, right? We were having it during COVID for 2 years. It died down a little bit. We're having it again. And of course, recently we've just ticked over end of financial year. We've had changes to super. There's a lot of things that are creeping in on finances. Staff aren't what they used to be. From the get-go, we're having to train them harder. I really think that there is hope, though, because I believe that something that's unsaid is that our communities and the hospo people, the foodies, they want for that old school hospitality. They want for that connection, that experience, that feeling that they get when hanging out with friends. And here's the things, like, they could do that at home, but they don't. They come out. Why do people come out to our venues to experience this rather than just cook at home? Right? So when we can answer that question and go a little bit further into, hey, we're not just serving food and drink, we're creating an experience here, we're creating a connection, people are here to feel something from us. That's how you turn new customers into regular customers, into raving fans, and that's how you weather times like this. Like, sure, you're going to have to be a good business owner and good operator as well during these times. But hiding your shell is the worst thing that you can do. And making sure that you speak about the elephant in the room, about how it's tough at the moment, and we're here for you and we're here for the community and we've been here for this long. Tell your story, make people feel. I really don't think hospitality is broken. I think that there's some stormy weather on the horizon, but I think that any venue that is open now and has been open for 3 or 4 years has weathered this kind of stuff before, and you're a better business operator for it. And with the right attitude and focus, I think it goes a long way to really helping you through times like this.
So in a way, Brad, when you talk about that community, that connection, that really being embedded in people's lives, do you think independent restaurateurs and cafe owners are in some ways better placed to weather the storms?
Yeah, I really do. Look, I think that the bigger venues, sometimes you have a bit of bloat, right? You need lots of people to come through, and you're relying on the brand and the consistency of your brand. Let's say you're a franchise or a bigger venue. You're relying on tourists, the brand, the consistency of the brand, like big spenders, to bring in big dollars so you can pay your big expenses. If you're one of the smaller venues, you have the advantages and the opportunities, and I think you should take them, to play that card, right? So you've got to tell that story. What are you proud of in your venue? Where did you come from? What are the dishes that you serve, and why are they important to you? Where are the connections that you have with local suppliers? Like, especially if you're regional, if you're out in the suburbs or something like that, really play those cards. Find out what those little stories are, because people love that, right? If you're one of those venues, there's a high likelihood that you have 95% of the revenue that you get for your business comes from about 5 kilometers radius of you, right? So, and what I see sometimes is people like, oh, I'll hide behind the counter and I'll put up content. I'm not trying to impress somebody over the other side of the country or the other side of the world. You're trying to impress the people who are within a 5 kilometre radius of you. And hospitality, for me, starts outside of your door. Like, get out there and create those relationships, those connections, those joint ventures, those collaborations. When you make those touch points with the people who are closest to you, then they reciprocate. And that is, again, a lost marketing art form, is reciprocation. But it starts with you making the first touch point. It feels a little bit uncomfortable at first, but it's like a snowball. Once you start to see the money come in, you're like, oh, actually, I could probably say a few more hellos. So, yes, I do think that you're uniquely positioned as a smaller operator to be able to do more personal work and tell your story and really create that connection with people. Because you need 1,000 true followers who come in once a week to hit your break even, and then you're rolling from there.
Love that, Brad. Really empowering. Thank you so much for bringing your expertise and passion to this conversation. I feel like there are so many great takeaways for people. Really happy to have you on Dirty Linen. Thanks for your time.
Thanks so much, Dani. I really appreciate the podcast, the opportunity today, and I love what you're doing.
This is Dirty Linen, and I'm Dani Valent. We air the issues that the hospitality industry finds hard to talk about, hearing from different people with unique perspectives. We want to hear from you as well. If you have something that needs to be said about a topic, get in touch so we can include your perspective. Contact us at dirtylinenat.deepintheweeds.com.au or hit us up on Insta at Dirty Linen Podcast. We can't wait to hear from you.
This